Hold on another minute. Sorry, I'm having some connection problems with seniors right now. Okay, I think we're stable again. It's going back up to where we cut off. Haruna stroked her chin, looked to the right. She then took out her PDA as if she remembered something and started to operate it. She was probably weighing the risks and benefits to accepting Shuhei's proposal. She stole another look at Shuhei's face, ran their hands down her PDA, and put it back in her pocket. So, what do you think? Sure. I don't mind. And I guess that settles it. Shuhei held his right hand out to Haruna. She spent 5 seconds standing absolutely still in place, then timidly reached out her own tiny hand and exchanged a handshake with Shuhei. A pleasure to meet you. Yeah, likewise. Okay then, let's just go down the mountain for now. Might find more participants that way. Okay. Then let's... But before Shuhei could finish his sentence, his and Haruna's PDA started beeping loudly. Huh? What's that? A message from the organizers, perhaps? The two took out their PDAs and looked over the screens. And just as Shuhei predicted, a mark shaped like a letter had been added to the lower right of the flag icon. Shuhei tapped the new icon. The message was from the organizers, just like the last one. But this one didn't contain any new rules. How to get to the game briefing? This is an important message for the participants. The message that began with those words was very curt and to the point. Okay, one sec. Alright. A list of rules was sent out earlier, but it's likely that alone was not enough to clear all your doubts and questions. Therefore, we will be holding a briefing to explain matters to you. The briefing will be held at the village's central control facility, so we kindly ask that all players interested in attending to gather in the white building at the northeast side of the village. Furthermore, this briefing is not mandatory. There will be no penalty to any players who do not attend. Clear all doubts and questions, huh? In layman's terms, this is probably an opportunity for them to learn more information. Or maybe the briefing would be about explaining how to use the PDA for those still confused. I'd like to go to this briefing. We can probably find more participants there too. What do you want to do, Haruna? I don't mind either way, I suppose. Let's go together. Shuhei gave her a bright smile and started walking off again. Deep down, he was relieved that Haruna hadn't been opposed to the idea. Of course, The goal of this briefing was to gather information and meet other participants. But it was also possible that they could directly speak to one of the organizers. Shuhei thought that, if possible, they could try to take the organizer hostage. Though that said, Shuhei knew if he were one of the organizers, he'd never risk meeting the players face to face. Guess this is about as likely as winning the lottery, huh? What are you talking about? Oh, well, you know. Shuhei scratched his cheek. He couldn't tell her that he meant their odds of coming across one of the organizers. So after hesitating for a moment... My odds of meeting you, of course. Shuhei decided to tease Haruna instead. Okay, here we go. Shuhei had expected to find civilization once he and Haruna cleared the forest, but instead, all they found was a deserted village. The building's frameworks were totally intact, but they'd probably been abandoned for ages now. The tatami mats and sliding screens had almost completely rotted away over the years. I wasn't expecting much, but I guess this place is a total ghost town, huh? Yeah. So I suppose that means we can use this place to stay at night if needed. Stay the night? Yeah, since we have no clue when this whole thing is gonna end. The information in their PDA had given them no hints as to when the game would actually conclude. But with a stage like this having been set up, it wouldn't be odd for there to be survival elements to the whole thing. In which case, securing drink, food, and a place to rest would become necessary. How long do you think this will go on? Huh? I meant the game. How long do you think it will last? Good question. Maybe they'll explain that to us at the briefing? Haruna pointed to a white building on the outskirts of the village. Yeah, that's the place, alright. The email had called it the Central Control Facility, but in actuality, it appeared to be the old village's town hall. All the other buildings Shuhei and Haruna had seen up till now were wooden, while this place had walls made of concrete. The outdoor air conditioning unit also served to help this rather modern building stand out like a sore thumb in this village. It's bigger than I expected. Looks like you could support a small school in this place. The place looked like it had quite a lot of rooms, at least from the outside. But regardless of what was on the inside, this is probably where they were holding the briefing. Shuhei and Haruna went inside to find a sign that read, "The briefing is being held in the conference room upstairs. Go up the stairs ahead, take a right, and go to the last room at the end of the hall." Shuhei hadn't expected anyone to be there, so if someone who wanted to meet the organizers and the game's managers, this was both predictable and a bad sign. Muddy footprints were scattered all over the hallway, indicating that other participants had most likely descended the mountain and gone here before them.
俺たちは最後の方っぽいな。
Looks like we might be the last ones, huh?
まだ始まってなければいいね。
I hope it hasn't started yet.
まあ、それは大丈夫だろう。
Well, I think we're okay on that front. Haruna shot Shuhei a quizzical glance, but it wasn't like his reasoning was all that interesting or special. On their way here, he had estimated that the scale of the PDA map was about 1 meter for a single step. As a result, that would mean the farthest place on the map from this building was about a kilometer away. Therefore, the starting time of the briefing had probably been set to take into account how long it would take for her who woke up in that place to get here. Of course, that was only under the assumption that the managers were giving all the players a fair chance to participate in the briefing.
俺の予想通りならな。運営はゲームに関しては公正かもしれないってことだ。
If my assumptions are correct, then the managers might want to make this game fair for everyone.
仮にそうじゃなかったとしても、ルールなんて花から信じなければいい。
And even if I'm wrong, then we don't have to believe in all the rules.
どちらにしろ、100% 信じることはないけどな。
Either way, there's something we completely believe in.
拉致されてきたわけだし。
Because we were kidnapped?
ああ、
Yeah. For all they knew, everything they said in the coming briefing could be entirely false. Yet in the end, only they could make the final judgment on that. Right now, all Shuhei could do was go around collecting all the information he could, then act while giving that information the most careful consideration.
じゃあ、行こうか。
Alright then, shall we? With that, Shuhei grabbed the doorknob, knowing he was about to enter a crucible of information. He took a deep breath, determined to always keep his wits about him, and pulled the door open.
なんだああ、また参加者か。
Huh? Oh, more participants, huh? Shuhei and Haruna heard that voice as soon as they entered the room. There was a total of 5 other participants in the room. Their gazes rushed to the newcomers all at once. Just then, one of them shouted in a conspicuously loud voice.
しゅうちゃん
Shu? What?
ことみ
Kotomi?
やっぱりしゅうちゃんだ。
I knew it was you, Shu. Shuhei froze up as he saw the girl, while Kotomi ran up to him with a mix of shock and joy on her face.
もうよかった。しゅうちゃんがいて。
Oh man, I'm so glad you're here, Shu.
気づいたら知らないところに連れてこられてて、すっごい心細かったんだもん。
I woke up to find out that I'm taken to some mysterious place, so I've been feeling so helpless this whole time.
いや、多分それは間違ってると思うぞ。
I'm not sure if that's the right reaction in this situation. He wasn't sure if he'd consider an absolute joy to find that someone close had also been kidnapped alongside him. Just then, Haruna spoke up.
誰
Who is she?
ああ、俺の幼馴染だよ。
Oh, she's my childhood friend. Shuhei, who'd lost his parents at a young age and grown up in an orphanage, Kotomi was the one person he could call a friend. Probably spent more time with her than he had his own parents.
こんにちは。吹石ことみです。
Hi there, I'm Kotomi Fukishi.
ふーん。そう。
I see. Concerned about Haruna's curt attitude, Kotomi glanced at Shuhei. She'd probably been expecting Haruna to introduce herself. Shuhei didn't know what was up with her attitude, but he decided to introduce Haruna for Kotomi.
琴美、彼女は春菜だ。
Kotomi, this is Haruna.
春菜とはここに来る途中であってさ、こんな状況だし一緒に行動してたんだ。
We met on our way here. Given the situation, we decided to go the rest of the way together.
そうなんだ。よろしくね、春菜ちゃん。
Oh, so that's what happened. Well, it's nice to meet you, Haruna.
え
Likewise.
え、でも拉致されたってことはしゅうちゃんも誰かに襲われてここに連れてこられたんだ。
But anyway, if you're here too, that means someone must have attacked you and brought you here as well, right?
ああ。っていうか、ここにいるみんながそうだろうな。
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing it was the same for everyone else here. Shuhei took another look around the room. Everyone in the room was a mix of genders and uniforms. From a glance, all they had in common was the collars around their necks and their age group. Just then, one of them came over to Shuhei's group while cheerfully waving his hand.
なになに、琴美ちゃん知り合いなの？
Who's this guy, Kotomi? Someone you know?
幼馴染のしゅうちゃん。
Yeah, this is Shu. He and I have been friends since we were kids.
しゅうちゃん、こっちは大輔くんだよ。
Shu, this is Daisuke.
どうも、東海第二学園の伊藤大輔っす。よろしく。
Hey there. I'm Daisuke Ito of Tokai Academy No. 2. Nice to meet ya.
俺は西洋学園の藤田修平。こちらこそよろしく。
I'm Shuhei Fujita of Saiyo Academy. It's nice to meet you too.
オッケー、周平な。そっちの子は？
Got it. Shuhei, right? And who might this be?
春菜。
春菜ちゃんね。どこの学園？
Haruna, huh? And what school do you go to?
あれマリコさんと同じ制服じゃない？
Wait a minute. Isn't she wearing the same uniform as Mariko?
ええ、確かにうちの制服みたいね。会ったことはないけど。
Yes, that's definitely my school's uniform. We've never met before, though.
私は上野真理子。春菜さんと同じ上信学院よ。
I'm Mariko Ueno. I go to Joshin Academy, just like Haruna.
よろしくな、マリコさん。
Nice to meet you, Mariko.
ええ、よろしく。
Yes, likewise.
ではでは、次は初音の番なのですね。
Okay, then, it's my turn now.
別に順番に自己紹介していく流れってわけじゃないんじゃない？
Hatsune, we're not really introducing ourselves in any sort of order. No need to go along.
そんなことないです。さっきだってそうだったですし、今もそういう流れなのです。
That's not true. I mean, that's how it went earlier, and that's how it's going now.
ってことは、俺たちが来る前に挨拶してたのか？
Wait, so you mean you guys introduced yourselves before Haruna and I got here?
最初はみんなずっと黙ってたんだけど、大輔くんが声をかけて。
Yeah. At first, no one said a word, but then Daisuke broke the ice.
そうか。
I see.
大丈夫だ、初音ちゃん。俺は初音ちゃんの自己紹介待ってるよ。
Don't worry, Hatsune. I've been waiting for your introduction.
初音は後田初音っていうです。岸田学園に通っているのですよ。
I'm Hatsune Atoda. I go to Kishida Academy.
うちの制服だもんね。帽子は違うけど。
Yes, that is our school uniform you have there, though it doesn't come with that hat.
へえ。それで君は？
And you are?
三林司。そこのアイドルと同じ岸田学園だけど、学園内では面識はないね。
Tsukasa Mitsubayashi. I go to the same school as that idol over there, but we've never met on campus.
ん？アイドルって？
Huh? Idol? Apparently that piece of information never come before, as everyone but Tsukasa stared at Hatsune carefully.
そういえば、どこかで見たことあるよ。
Now you mention it, I do feel like I've seen her somewhere before.
思い出した。
Oh! I remember now.
安藤初音ちゃんだよね。アイドルの。
You're that idol Hatsune Ando, aren't you?
はい。芸名は安藤でやっているのです。
Yes, Ando is my stage name.
安藤初音って。おいおい、ドラマとかにも出てたあの子かよ。マジで？芸能人じゃん。
Hatsune Ando. Whoa, now I remember. Your girl has shown up on TV shows before too. No way! We've got a real life celebrity here.
マジなのですよ。えへん。
Yes way. Shuhei had heard the name Hatsune Ando before as well. Or rather, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say there wasn't a single person his age who didn't know that name. She was an idol who'd taken the country by storm, making regular appearances on kids shows, several famous TV shows, and released dozens of songs.
だけど最近はテレビであんまり見かけないよね。
But I don't think I've seen you on TV all that much recently.
最近はあまりお仕事が回ってこないのです。
I haven't had much work coming my way these days. A shadow of gloom covered what had been cheer just moments ago on Hatsune's face. The idol business came with sharp rises and steep falls. Hatsune's expression made it obvious which side of the two she was on at the moment.
ああ、でも1ヶ月前くらいに旅番組に出演してるのを見たよ。
Oh, I did see you on the travel show about a month ago.
芋虫食べさせられてたっけ？
Didn't they make you eat caterpillars?
思い出させないでほしいのです。
Please don't remind me. Hatsune held her head and shook it back and forth. Tsukasa perched his hand on his chin and chuckled at the sight.
さてと、これで全員一通り名乗ったか？
Okay, so now we've all introduced ourselves, right?
そうだね。
Yeah, that's right.
ま、とりあえず仲良くやっていこうぜ。何をやらされるのかわかんないけどよ。
Well, let's just get along for now. Not like we know what they want us to do, after all. Daisuke grinned, evoking smiles from Hatsune and Kotomi. However, there was still one person who couldn't bring themselves to look cheerful.
ところでいつになったら説明会が始まるのかしら。
By the way, when exactly are they going to start the briefing?
その様子だとずっとここで待たされているのか？
Judging from that comment, I take it they've been making you wait for quite a while?
ええ、メールが届いてからすぐ来たんだけど、ずっと待たされっぱなしね。
Yes. I came here as soon as I got that email. They haven't done a thing this whole time. In that case, it meant that Shuhei was probably right, that the organizers were giving all the participants a chance to attend.
となれば騒いでも仕方ないし、のんびり待つか。
Then making a scene probably won't do anything. Let's just take it easy and wait, I guess. Shuhei pulled out a free chair and flumped right onto it. If his guess was on the mark, then the briefing wouldn't start for another half hour or so. If he was off, then probably started an hour at the latest, but half an hour seemed like more enough time to keep them waiting.
ずいぶんとな、気が長えな。
They sure like to keep us waiting though, huh?
本当よ。待たされるのもいい加減限界だわ。
You've got that right. I've just about had it here of being made to wait.
こんなわけのわからないところに無理やり拉致されてきて、いきなりゲームだ説明会だって頭にくるじゃない。
What lunatic snatches people away to this weird place and throws in the game and briefing just like that?
みんなだってそう思うでしょ？
Don't you all agree? This is just so messed up.
初音もそう思うです。早くお家に帰ってシャワーを浴びたいです。
Yeah, I want to go home and take a shower right now.
そうだね。家族も心配してるだろうし。
You're right. I'm sure our families are worried about us too.
俺なんてバイトのシフトすっぽかしちまったよ。怒ると怖えんだ、うちの店長。
I missed my shift thanks to this. Man, my boss is gonna be so pissed. Not looking forward to going home to that. But just as those three sympathized with Mariko's comment, one boy sighed and put a damper on the situation.
はあ、こんな状況で気楽なものだね。
You people sure are a carefree bunch, aren't you?
どういう意味よ？
What's that supposed to mean?
考えてみなよ。 ゲームの主催者とやらはこれだけの人数を拉致することに成功してるんだ。
Use your head. The game's organizers and their associates managed to snatch a good number of people.
その上で僕らにこのゲームを強要しようとしている。
Not only that, they're trying to force us to play this game.
目的は何？身代金？テロ？それとも何かのエンターテインメント？
What are they after? Ransom? Terrorism? Or some form of entertainment?
私に聞かれたってわからないわよ、そんなの。
How am I supposed to know that?
そうだね。目的はわからないし、こんな馬鹿げたことをやってる時点で連中は本当にどうかしている。だけど
Indeed. Whatever their goal, these people were insane from the moment they pulled this absurd stunt. Nonetheless,
奴らはそれを実行するだけの組織力を持ち合わせている。当然莫大な資金も必要だったはずだ。
they were still organized enough to pull it off. Naturally, one would require quite the fortune to possess that sort of power.
何が言いたいの？
What are you getting at?
僕らは当分ここから帰れないよ。少なくともこのゲームが終わるまではね。
That we won't be leaving this place for the time being. Not until this game ends, at least.
だけど私たちが消えたことに誰も気づかないわけがないでしょ。
But there's no way anyone will overlook our disappearances, right?
時間が経てば家族が捜索願いを出してくれるはずだし、これだけの集団が一気に消えたら当然騒ぎにもなる。
Our family should send a missing persons report out eventually, and there'll be a major story about so many people disappearing all at once.
そうなったら絶対に隠し通せるわけがないわ。
There's no way they'll be able to keep this all hidden once that happens.
もし連中がそれを隠蔽できるほどの力を持っているとすれば。
And what if the organizers have the power to conceal that sort of thing?
まさかそんなこと。
No way. That's insane.
すでにここで起きていることの全てが常軌を逸脱してるんだ。
I don't think anyone would call a single thing that's happened here sane.
連中には常識なんて通用しないと考える方が普通なんじゃない？
Isn't it logical to assume that common sense simply doesn't apply to these people?
だって犯罪じゃない。今私たちは犯罪に巻き込まれてるのよ。
But this is a crime we're talking about. We've gotten tangled up in a crime, right?
この国は法治国家なの。こんなことが許されるはず。
We live under laws in this country. There's no way that they allow this sort of...
人権ってやつそんなものが外界から切り離された今の僕らを守ってくれるとは思えないな。
bring up human rights, are we? Now we're cut off from the outside world. I highly doubt something like those will keep us safe.
そんなのって。
No, that can't be.
さてと、これ以上あなたと話しても意味はなさそうだ。僕の考えが正しければ、あと少しで説明会が始まるよ。
Now then, it appears any further discussion in the matter of you will be pointless. If my guess is correct, then the briefing will begin sooner or later.
あなたとの討論はつまらなかったけど、ちょうどいい暇つぶしにはなったかな。
That debate with you was quite dull, but I suppose it was at least useful for killing some time. Having watched the whole thing from start to finish, Shuhei had some ideas of his own, but ultimately decided to keep quiet. Skasa's comments about the game had right on point with Shuhei's own thoughts, but Shuhei doubted his words would have much an effect on Mariko. The reason he and Skasa were able to adjust it as much faster than her was due to a difference in personal values. In contrast to Shuhei and Skasa, who chose what they can do now, Mariko seemed like type to always choose the right answer. The first thing they need to do to get Mariko to agree with them was to make her realize picking the right answer simply isn't a choice in this situation. And Shuhei simply wasn't willing to go as far as reveal all the information he had on hand if that's what it took to convince her. It wasn't necessary to pull a stunt like that, which would either put him at a disadvantage, or at the very least take away his advantage. Silence is golden, as they said. Since he might end up playing the game, Shuhei wanted to do whatever he could at the present.
まあまあ、司くんもそんなきつい言い方しなくたって。
No, there's no need to be so harsh, Tsukasa.
そうだね。これ以上話しても無駄みたいだ。この人には現実が見えていないみたいだし。
Indeed, it seems any further conversation would be a waste of time. It appears this girl has no grasp of reality whatsoever.
何よ、理不尽な犯罪に文句をつけるのがいけないわけ。こんな状況絶対に間違ってるのに。
The hell's your problem? What's the wrong with complaining about an unjust crime? You know as well as I do that the situation's all kinds of layers of messed up.
ああ、もうめんどくせえな。言い争っても意味ないんじゃねえの？
Come on, this is so annoying. Arguing's not going to solve anything.
です。きっとここの様子も奴らに監視されてるのですよ。
Here. I'm sure those bastards are spying on us right now.
やつら
Bastards?
ほら、あそこにカメラがあるじゃないですか。
See, there's a camera right over there, isn't there? Just as she had said, there was indeed a camera in the corner of the ceiling. Hatsune pointed to it and spoke.
あのカメラの向こうにいる悪の組織です。
Watching us behind that camera is an evil organization.
悪の組織
An evil organization?
初音ちゃんのボキャブラリーって。
Interesting choice of words there, Hatsune.
初音は何か間違ってましたか？
Did I say something wrong?
間違ってないわよ。拉致は犯罪なんだから悪の組織に決まってるわ。
No, you didn't. Kidnapping's a crime, so they truly are an evil organization.
面白いな、この人たち。
You people truly are an amusing lot. Tsukasa shook his head with an exasperated laugh.
ああ、もうそんなのどうでもいいっての。そういう話を聞かされるこっちの身にもなってくれ。
Come on, this doesn't matter at all. We already know that kind of stuff already.
それよりゲームの話しようぜ。今俺らがやらされそうになってるさ。
Anyway, let's talk about the game. I mean, they are trying to make us play it and all.
賛成なのです。初音は知りたいこといっぱいなのです。
Yeah, I'm all for that. There's lots of stuff I want to know.
ゲームの話ね。例えば
Talk about the game, huh? What in particular?
いろいろあるだろ。例えばこれのこととかさ。
All sorts of shit. Like these, for starters. Daisuke took a PDA out of his blazer pocket.
それをこれから説明されるんじゃない？
Aren't they going to explain those to us?
いやいや、説明聞く前に推理してりゃいいじゃん。説明会で答え合わせするみたいな。
No, I mean speculating about them before they do. Then we can see if we were right during the briefing.
それに俺、ゲームでも携帯でもそうだけど、説明書とか読まないんだよな。
Besides, I'm not the kind that reads the manuals for games or cell phones.
ある。買ったばかりのゲームを早くしたいからつい読まずに始めちゃうんだよね。
I know what you mean. I want to play a game I just bought right away, so I just start without reading it. That's what you mean, right?
そうそう。だからただ黙って説明聞くのもたるいし、いろいろ考えてみないかってことよ。
Yeah, exactly. So I think it'd be more fun to think about it than just waiting for the boring explanation.
クリア条件とか特殊機能とか何か面白そうなのもあっただろ。
There's all kinds of interesting stuff in it, like that clear condition thing and that special function thing, yeah?
あったです。見せ合いっこするですか？
Yeah. Why don't we show ours to each other?
ああ、そうすりゃ簡単にゲームクリアできるかもしれないしな。
Yeah.
協力プレイってやつだ。
So, yeah. Maybe we can team up and clear this game no cinch.
でもどうかな。 勝ち抜けルールだったらそういう情報って隠しておいた方が有利になるんじゃない？
But are you sure that's the best idea? Since there are rules about how to win, wouldn't it be more beneficial to hide that sort of info from each other?
うわー、ことみちゃん、可愛い顔に似合わず勝つ気満々じゃん。
Damn, Kotomi. I never would have guessed there was such a competitive spirit behind that cute face of yours.
勝負ごとには常に全力でが私のポリシーなの。
It's my policy to give any challenge everything I've got. Kotomi put her hands to her hips and puffed her chest out proudly.
でも真剣な話だけど、勝つ勝たない以前にゲームをクリアしないと首輪が爆発しちゃうんでしょ？
Well, in all seriousness, win or no win, our collars will explode unless we clear the game, right?
ああ、そんなルールだったな。
Yeah, that's what one of the rules said.
だから頭に来るって言ってるんじゃない。拉致だけじゃなくて脅迫までされてるんだから。
That's why I said a lunatic came up with this stuff. Coercion on top of kidnapping? Daisuke just smiled wryly at Mariko's comment and scratched his head.
いやでもさ、どうにも現実感が薄いんだよね。
No, but still, it just doesn't feel real at all, you know?
首輪を引っ張ると確かにピーピー警告は出るんだけど、これって本当に爆発すんの？みたいな。
I mean, I know the collar beeped when I tried tugging earlier, but it's like, really? It would have really blown up if I didn't let go?
じゃあ試してみたら本当に爆発するかどうかさ。
Well then, why don't we try out to see if it really does detonate?
おいおい勘弁してくれよ。マジで爆発したら俺死んじゃうじゃん。
Whoa man, count me out on that. I'll be dead if that thing blows up for real.
大丈夫です。大輔はそれでも死ななそうなのです。
Don't worry, I don't think someone like that would kill you, Daisuke.
おま、俺はどんなキャラだっつーの。
Hey, do I look like I'm made out of diamond or something? The room erupted in laughter at Daisuke's comment. Shuhei breathed a mental sigh of relief as he observed all that. Had Kotomi agreed to reveal her clear condition and special function, Shuhei would have changed the subject by force. Given that they didn't know just how valuable information was yet in this game, giving it away for free would have been a major fallacy. If it was just his information, he could take that, but Kotomi's? Out of the question.
俺は琴美ちゃんのためなら死ねる。だから結婚しよう。
I'll die for you, Kotomi, so marry me!
大輔くん、それって死亡フラグだよ。
Daisuke, that's several death flags right there. Shuhei rested his chin in his hands and watched his childhood friend cheerfully playing along.
笑い事じゃないってこと分かってるのかしら。
Do people get that this is no laughing matter? Mariko shook her head disapprovingly at their apparent lack of comprehension. Okay. Eventually, just as Shuhei had predicted, it took half an hour until the deadlock finally broke. Static began to emanate from the room's speaker.
ようやく始まるのかな。
Oh, is it finally starting?
静かに。
Shh, quiet.
本日は皆様、お集まりいただき大変ありがとうございます。
We are grateful to all those present for taking the trouble to gather here.
これより、今回のゲームに関する説明会を始めさせていただきます。
Henceforth, allow me to start the briefing regarding this game. Room echo of a completely undistinct voice. It likely belonged to one of the administrators of the game.
まずは、一通りゲームについて説明を行っていきます。
First, I shall give you a general explanation of the game.
説明するのは、ゲームの目的、期間、舞台、プレイヤーおよび PDA についてです。
Here, I will tell you about the game's goal, time limit, stage, players, and PDAs.
ゲームの内容に関する質問には回答しますが、それ以外は一切を受け付けません。
I will answer any questions you have about the game itself, but I will not take any other questions. The administrator continued the briefing without faltering the slightest, talking as if he were discussing a business proposal. Though he had nothing to go off but his voice, Shuhei could still easily picture that in his head.
それでは始めます。
Now then, let's begin.
その前に質問があります。
I'd like to ask a question first. Mariko raised her hand up high before the administrator could start.
あなたはこのゲームの運営団体の方ですよね。どこにいるんですか？どういう団体の人たちなんですか？
You're a member of the group running this game, right? Where are you? What sort of group do you belong to? Shuhei himself had considered asking that question. There was a chance his future actions would change if he turned out the administrator was close by. Mariko may have phrased it in a way that implied she wanted the person responsible for their plight to show themselves, but regardless, Shuhei was anticipating the answer. In the end, the answer the administrator gave was,
その質問はゲームの内容とは関係ありません。
that question is not relevant to the game itself.
主催者がゲームと関係ないわけないでしょ？
What? Don't give me that! You're the organizer, of course you're relevant.
我々運営者側の情報はゲームの内容とは一切関係ありません。
Any information about the management has no relation to the game itself.
だからそんなわけ。
Like I'm saying, of course you...
いいから静かにしてなよ。説明会が進まないでしょ。
Would you give it a rest? You're holding up the briefing.
あなた。
Hey!
ゲームに関係あるかないかは運営が決めるってこと。そうでしょ、運営の人。
It's the organizers who decide what's related to this game, what's not. Isn't that right, Mr. Administrator?
はい、その通りです。
Yes, it is precisely as you say.
だってさ、おとなしく話を聞いた方がいいんじゃない？
And there you have it. So wouldn't it be better to keep quiet and hear him out? Mariko looked bitter, but kept her mouth shut. It seemed even she'd realized how pointless her questions were.
では再開します。まずはゲームの目的から。
Now then, allow me to resume. First, let's begin with the goal of the game.
このゲームはクリア条件を満たすことが目的となります。
The goal of the game is to fulfill your clear condition.
例えばそれは何かを集める、どこへ行くといった風な目的であり、各人にそれぞれ異なるものが与えられています。
Whether it's to collect something or to go somewhere, each of you has their own individual clear condition.
クリア条件の中には何かをしてはいけないといった類の失格条件もあります。
On the flip side of each clear condition is a failure condition. That is to say, something that you cannot allow to happen.
こちらは条件を満たした瞬間にクリア不能となりますので、ご注意ください。
For the moment it occurs, it will be impossible for you to clear the game. Please exude caution.
なお、制限時間内にクリア条件を満たせなかったり、クリア不能になった場合にはゲームオーバーとなります。
Furthermore, should you be in a position where it is impossible to fulfill your clear condition, or if time runs out before you can, it's game over for you. Shuhei's clear condition was, all prime numbered players' clear conditions are fulfilled. He didn't know how easy or hard it'd be to achieve that, but it seemed to get difficult for him when he inevitably had to team up with other players.
質問だけど、爆発の威力ってどの程度なの？
Question: How powerful is the collar detonation?
爆発は周囲を巻き込むほど大きなものではありません。ただ、装着者に致命傷を与えるには十分な破壊力を持っております。
It's not powerful enough to spread to your surroundings. However, it still possesses enough strength to fatally wound you.
クリア不能になった場合の爆発のタイミングは？
When will the collar detonate in the event it will become impossible to fulfill your clear condition?
首輪の作動前には警告が鳴ります。爆発はその10秒後に設定されています。
An alarm will go off in advance. After that, The collar is set to detonate within the next 10 seconds or so. I see. Skasa leaned back in his chair as he crossed his arms in thought. His composure hadn't faded one bit. He was as calm as he'd been through the whole time. In contrast, the others were all shaken up.
致命傷には十分って、やっぱり本物なのですか？
Enough strength to fatally wound us? So it's actually for real, isn't it?
マジかよ、おい。
Damn, you shitting me?
クリア以外に外す方法はないの？
Isn't there a way to get these things off without clearing the game?
ありません。
There isn't.
許可された手段はクリア条件を満たすことのみであり、それ以外の手段を試みた場合は首輪を爆破します。
The only permitted method is to fulfill your clear condition. Any attempts at other methods will simply result in the detonation of your collar.
そんなのむちゃくちゃよ。人間の命を不当に扱うこんなゲーム許されるわけが。
That's insane. There's no way a game that treats people's lives so callously will be allowed to...
だから言ったと思うんだけどね、僕は。
I believe I already told you how it can, did I not? No way. Mariko put her hand over her mouth and hung her head, her delicate body shivering.
しゅうちゃん。
大丈夫だ、子供。
It's alright, Kotomi. Shuhei gripped Kotomi's hand tight when he saw the fear cloud her face. Her tiny hand was cold as ice, perhaps from all the tension.
次にゲームの開催期間ですが、ゲームの期間をプレイヤーに明確に伝えることはいたしません。
Next, as for when the game ends, players will be left in the dark to this matter for the majority of the game.
終了予定時刻の24時間前になった時点で、各プレイヤーの PDA に通知を行います。
A notification message will be sent to all players' PDAs exactly 24 hours before the game ends.
どういうことだ？
And why is that?
期限がわからない方がゲームが盛り上がるという趣向です。ゲーム性の一つとお考えください。
Not knowing when the game will end was a way to make proceedings more exciting. Please consider it an aspect of the game itself. The administrator spoke calmly as if it weren't a big deal. No, as if you were discussing something happening in a fictional universe.
例えば、残りの時間を正確に把握することで、行動的、あるいは消極的になるプレイヤーが出てきます。
For example, we didn't know exactly how much time they had left. There would be some players who would act in dynamic or pessimistic ways.
これを避け、ゲーム内での動きをより均一化するため、ゲームの終了時刻は秘密にしてあります。
To avoid this and homogenize players' actions, we shall be keeping the game's end time a secret.
ゲームを盛り上げるためって。
Make proceedings more exciting?
いやいや、見せ物じゃねえんだから。
This isn't a show or anything, you know. The organizer immediately ignored their comments, continued explaining as calmly as always.
では、次にゲームの舞台に関してですが、PDA の地図に示されている範囲内とします。
Now then, as for the game's playing field, is everything you see within the boundaries of the map included on the PDA?
範囲内から出た時点で警報が鳴り、警報を無視し続けると首輪が爆発します。
Should you ever exceed those boundaries, a warning will ring. If you ignore the warning and continue to remain out of bounds, your collar will detonate.
また、範囲は25個のエリアに分割されています。こちらは場所を識別する際にお使いください。
Furthermore, the game's playing field has been divided into 25 areas. Please use them to identify locations.
ここに来るまでにいくつかカメラを見つけたんですけど。
I know several cameras on my way here. What are they?
ゲームの舞台各所には監視カメラを設置し、プレイヤーの行動を常に監視しています。
Countless surveillance cameras have been set up all over the field to keep a constant eye on the player's actions.
ただし、運営側は首輪や脱走に関すること以外、 プレイヤーの行動には一切関知しません。
However, apart from anything concerning the callers or escape attempts, we are not concerned with what the players do.
クリアを目指すために何をしても自由ですので、監視されているからといって萎縮せず、好きなように振る舞ってください。
You are free to do anything to fulfill your clear condition, so while you may be under surveillance, please don't consider that a restriction. Go about in whatever way you please. Though he never said it flat out, Shuhei could swear that the man was thinking, it'll make things more interesting that way. The high-strung Mariko was glaring at the speaker, as if she'd gotten that impression as well.
次はプレイヤーおよび PDA についてです。
Next concerns the players and the PDAs.
プレイヤーは全員で14名。各人にはプレイヤーナンバーが割り当てられています。
There are 14 players in total, each with their own unique player number.
でもここには6人しかいないのです。
Oh, hold on a second. Okay, sorry about that. Back. Huh? But there's only 6 of us here.
この場にいらっしゃるのは説明会への参加を希望したプレイヤーのみです。
The ones there are the only players who wish to partake in the briefing.
ああ、そういや、そんなことを書いてあったっけか。
Oh yeah, now you mention it, the message did say something like that. The email had indeed said the briefing wasn't mandatory. But from an information standpoint, it was possible not attending would put the players at a disadvantage. Thus, Shuhei couldn't help but be suspicious. Oops, sorry. Sorry, there's a lag there. Okay, Thus, Shuhei couldn't help but be suspicious that half the players weren't there. Were they not able to make it there, or they had to decide they didn't need to attend? If it was the latter, then maybe, just maybe, it was because those players already knew that information.
プレイヤーナンバーはトランプを模してエースからキングとジョーカーの計14種類です。
Your player numbers are modeled after playing cards, 14 of them from Ace to King, along with the Joker.
プレイヤーはそれぞれがプレイヤーナンバー入りの PDA を所持しており、クリア条件や特殊機能も全員が異なります。
Each player has their own PDA with their own player number on it, each with a different clear condition and special function.
他社の PDA の所有やその特殊機能を使用することはできますが、クリア条件は初期に配られたものに依存します。
You are allowed to take other players' PDAs and use their special functions, but you can only clear the game by fulfilling the clear condition of the PDA you started out with.
他人の PDA を奪っても使えるのは特殊機能だけってことね。
So even if you steal another PDA, all you can use is its special function, I take it.
また PDA はプレイヤーナンバーに該当した所有者が死亡するか特定の特殊機能を使用することで操作不能状態となります。
Furthermore, in the event that a player dies, their PDA's special function will become unusable.
質問だ。 PDA を操作不能にする特殊機能の話が出たけど、これは他のプレイヤーに害を与える機能もあるってことか。
Question. In that case, does that mean there are some special functions that allow you to harm other players?
その推測もゲームの一部という認識であるため回答いたしません。
Finding that out is part of the game itself, so I cannot answer that question.
では質問を変える。ナンバーや条件を除けば、この PDA は全員に同じものが配られているのか。
Then allow me to change the question. Aside from the player numbers, clear conditions, and special functions, are all the players given the same PDA?
全員に同じものを配布しています。
Yes. That is correct.
そうか。わかった。
Alright, I understand. Though Shuhei's own PDA didn't have a function that could be used as a weapon, it wasn't hard to imagine what kind of other functions there could be to harm other players. Most likely, there would be functions to be used on other players' PDAs or collars.
ゲーム中は食料や水の確保もプレイヤーが行う必要があります。
Players will be required to secure food and drink for themselves during the game.
無論川の水を飲んだり森で食料を取っても結構ですが、ゲームの舞台には運営側で各所に食料や備品を配置しています。
You are free to drink water from the river and look for food in the forest, of course, but we have set up locations for the players to obtain food and provisions.
へえ、珍しく気が利いてんじゃん。
Well, guess there's a hint of soul in your end after all.
しかしそれらは基本的に土の中に埋まっているため、手がかりなしに見つけるのは困難です。
However, as they are essentially all buried in the ground, it'll be quite difficult for you to find them without any hints.
いや、無理だろそれ。
Difficult? More like impossible.
そのためにキューブという一辺40センチの正方形の箱が各エリアに設置されています。
As such, we have set 40cm square boxes known as cubes in every area.
キューブにはメモリーチップが入っており、それを PDA に読み込ませることで最寄りの食料の位置が地図に表示されます。
By inserting a memory chip into a cube and scanning it for your PDA, the location of the closest supplies will appear on your map.
メモリーチップにより手に入るものは食料の他に武器もあります。そちらを目的にメモリーチップを探すのもいいでしょう。
In addition to food and water, memory chips can also help you find weapons. For that reason, it would be wise to find memory chips.
武器って
Did you just say weapons?
ナイフとかバットとかですか？そんなので襲われたら怖いのです。
Like knives and bats? It'd be scary if someone attacked you with one of those.
さて、プレイヤーと PDA については以上ですが、こちらについて質問はありますか？
Now then, that about sells it regarding the players and PDAs. Any other questions?
誰かと手を組んだりとかはありなの？
Is it possible to team up with the others? With others?
可能です。
Yes.
ほーん。じゃあさ、みんなで手組もうぜ。
That's so. Then why don't we all team up?
クリア条件も教え合ってお互いで協力し合った方がクリアも早いし食料も安全も確保しやすいだろ。
If we tell each other our clear conditions and work together, we can clear our conditions faster and have an easier time securing supplies in a safe place, right? Daisuke looked around at the others for approval.
そうですね。初音も賛成なのです。
Yeah, I'm all for that.
私もいいかなって思うよ。
Yeah, I think it's a good idea too.
私は協力はしたいけどクリア条件はちょっと。
I'd like to, but I'm not so sure about revealing my clear condition.
なんだよ、ノリ悪いな。まあ好きにすりゃいいけどさ。
Oh, come on, can't you get with the program? Whatever, your funeral.
で、そっちのお二人さんはどうよ。さっきからどっちもむっつりしてるけど。
Anyway, what about you guys? As in cheer your people at graveyards.
遠慮しておくよ。クリア条件は教えたくないから。
I shall pass. I do not wish to reveal my clear condition.
協力し合ってクリアを目指すのは賛成だが、もう少し情報の価値を考えるべきだ。
I'm all for teaming up and working to clear the game together, but we need to consider the value of information more.
おいおい、なんだよ。みんなをもっと信頼しようぜ。
Oh, come on, guys. Can't you have more trust in everyone?
信頼じゃないよ、こういうのは。身内でも連帯保証人にはなるなって話。
Obviously not. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time, as they say.
は？なんだそりゃ。
Huh? The hell does that mean?
裏切られても自分で代償を払える範囲でしか行動するなっていうこと。
It means only take actions you can afford to pay the price for, even if you get betrayed.
いや、裏切るって。
Whoa, betrayed? Don't you think that's going too far?
試しに聞いてみるといい。情報を知られることが危険かどうか。
Then we might as well ask. Is there any danger in revealing information?
答えてくれるよな。こういう類の質問には。
You can answer that kind of question, can't you?
ええ、ゲームの内容に関わることですので当然です。
Yes, of course. does concern the game itself after all. Despite Shuhei's urging, the man's sound is unaffected as always. But in spite of that, Shuhei can imagine a sickening smirk crossing the man's face at that very moment.
他のプレイヤーに自身の情報を知られてしまうのにはリスクがあります。
There is a risk in revealing information to other players.
例えば、誰かのクリア条件が2のプレイヤーの死亡となった場合、2のプレイヤーは常に命を狙われることとなります。
For example, in the event a player's clear condition became player 2 dies, they would end up trying to kill the 2.
なるほどです。
I see.
他にも、3のプレイヤーのクリア条件を2のプレイヤーの生存とした場合、
On the other hand, in the event that player 3's clear condition was player 2 survives,
2のプレイヤーを殺害すると3のプレイヤーの首輪は爆発します。
player 3's collar would detonate with player 2 to die.
つまり、プレイヤーナンバーとクリア条件、特殊機能の内容が他のプレイヤーに漏れれば、危険が増す場合があるでしょう。
In other words, there are cases where revealing your player number, clear condition, and special function to others will put you in greater danger.
他のプレイヤーと協力関係を結ぶにしても、互いのクリア条件の相性が重要ということです。
Should you team up with other players, it is vital that you all share compatible clear conditions.
そうなるわよね。クリア条件を知られるって。
I knew it. So that's what would happen if your clear condition got out. Mariko bit her lip with a grim face as though she expected to hear that. Everyone else grew silent. The man cleared his throat as though he'd been waiting for that.
では最後に PDA の操作方法について解説していきます。
Finally, I will explain how to use the PDAs.
それぞれ PDA を手元に出して、こちらの指示する通りに操作してください。
Please take out your PDAs and follow the instructions I am about to give you. The administrator began to explain how to use the PDAs. Most of it was stuff the players had already figured out on their own, but there was some helpful new piece of information, such as how to read the map properly. In particular, Kotomi, who had trouble even operating a cell phone, seemed to be fretting over every little instruction the man explained to them. As the others were all fiddling with their own PDAs, might as well give it a shot. Shuhei secretly tried using his special function. His special function was nullify the special functions of all PDAs in a 10-meter range. Shuhei had tried it out earlier, but since no one else had been around, nothing had happened. But now it was different. Now we could test it out with the others being none the wiser. Shuhei turned his PDA's volume up from mute to minimum. There was still the risk that he could be caught, but Shuhei felt it was worth checking out the reactions of the others. Now then, what will happen? After thinking that, Shuhei pressed the Use Special Function icon on his PDA. A yes or no choice box appeared, with the question, "Do you really want to proceed?" on the top. Shuhei took a deep breath and softly tapped yes. At that moment, Scos's PDA fell to the floor with a loud clack.
どうした？
What happened?
ちょっと手元が狂って。
Oh, my hand slipped, that's all.
びっくりした。
That scared me.
大丈夫なのですか？
Ah,
Are you okay?
ああ、ごめん。驚かせちゃって。
Yes. Sorry for startling you all. Shuhei pondered what just happened as he watched Tsukasa pick up his PDA. From what Shuhei could tell, activating his special function caused no visible change to his own PDA. However, Tsukasa, there had been a change of sorts. So if Shuhei's special function had done something to his PDA, just what kind of special function had Tsukasa been using? At the very least, Shuhei could confirm someone else in the room had been thinking along the same lines as him and been trying to do the same thing.
注意だな。
I need to keep a close eye on him. As he watched Tsukasa return to filling his PDA, Shuhei let out a secret sigh. Just then, the administrator's voice echoed forth from the speaker again.
ところで、この説明会場にお越しいただいた方々のために、我々から一つ特別情報をご提供します。
Incidentally, we'll provide those of you who attend the briefing with a special piece of information.
特別情報
And what's that?
このゲームにおけるフェイタリティ、すなわちある種の危険性、それが立ちどころに理解できる情報です。
Sneak preview of the potential risks of this game. Information you'll understand the instant you see it.
隣の部屋にご用意してあります。詳しくはそちらをご覧ください。
We have set it up in the room next door. Please head there for further information.
隣の部屋って僕がこの部屋に来る前に確認した時には鍵がかかっていたけど。
You say that, but all the other doors were locked. I checked them before I went in here.
今は開けてあります。
It has been unlocked at this time.
それでは皆様がそれをご覧になり戻られましたら説明会を再開しますので。
Once you have all seen it, the briefing will resume upon your return. Before anyone could ask any questions, the voice cut off. Unlike everything had said up until this point, the man had been uncharacteristically vague about the sneak preview.
フェイタリティ何のことだ
What sort of risk was he talking about?
なんかゲームでそんな単語聞いたことあるな。なんだっけあれ。何のゲームだっけ
Yeah, he was pretty hush on that stuff up until now. Why a change in heart?
まあいいわ。重要な情報なんだったら確認しに行きましょう。
It doesn't matter. Either way, it's vital information, so let's go see for ourselves. Mariko pocketed her PDA and left the conference room. Shuhei and the others followed suit. Once they were all in the hallway, they headed on over for the next room. And when they opened the door, the group's eyes widened in shock. There was a large mound of people in the room. No, people was too generous a word. These things weren't moving at all. They were all piled up in the center of the room, still as macabre mannequins. Are they sleeping? No, definitely not. First of all, they were covered in what appeared to be frost. And while they couldn't quite explain it, no one in the group could feel any signs of life from these people.
この人たちまさか
No way. Are these people
死んでるのか
dead? Everyone twitched at those words. But Daisuke spoke up in a cheery voice of a bluff.
死んでるだってなバカな
Dead? Come on, man, that can't be it.
どうせ作り物かなんかだろ
They gotta be dummies or something. Saying that to himself as much as everyone else, Daisuke walked over to the mound of people. But as soon as he touched one of them and tried to lift them up, Daisuke jolted his hand back and fell to the floor.
大輔君どうしたの？
What's wrong, Daisuke?
あれが
They have holes in them.
濡らって穴から中身が出て血も
Slimy holes with guts sticking out of them. A lot of blood, too. His reply was inarticulate, but the meaning of his words got through to everyone.
本当に死体なの？
Those are really corpses? Mariko's voice rattled like crazy. Scasa replied calmly as ever.
そうだろうね。先ほど運営の男が言っていた言葉、フェイタリテ
I suppose so. I understand what the administrator meant by potential risks.
ィ。あれは危険性というより致死性に近いニュアンスの言葉だ。
He wanted to tell us that there was a fatal risk in playing this game.
このゲームの致死性が一目でわかる情報、それがこの死体の山ってわけだよ。
And true enough, a mound of corpses did indeed get the message across to us.
そんな。じゃあこの死体の山ってまさか。
My god. Then, are you saying this mound of bodies is
このゲームで死んだ人たちの死体だっていうのか？
a mound of people who died from this game? All the lights in the room went out as if to answer Shuhei.
何ですか？
What happened?
何が起きてるの？
What's going on? Just as everyone started to panic, something deeper in the room shined. They were faint images being shown by a projector. The images were accompanied by an unsettling CG background and an eerie narration.
そこにある死体は前回この会場で行われたゲームの参加者たちのもの。
The bodies you see here are participants of the previous game held here.
それを冷凍保存することにより死亡時そのままの姿で皆様にご紹介させていただいた。
They have been kept in cold storage so all of you could see how they looked just as they did when they died.
では彼らはこの結末を迎えるまでどのような道をたどったのか。
Now then, what roads did these departed souls travel down to reach this outcome?
このゲームをご理解いただくためにそれをお見せしたいと。
We wish to show you so you may gain a better grasp of this game. The images began to move as if they were reenacting the abridged version of a movie.
見知らぬ者同士が集められそのゲームが始まった。
A group of strangers were gathered, and the game began.
クリアに必要なのは互いの信頼。力を合わせなければこのゲームを生き残ることはできない。
Mutual trust is necessary for victory. Without it, you stand no chance of emerging this game alive.
なのに彼らは信じ合うことができなかった。
Yet they could not trust one another.
ゲームが進むにつれ蓄積する疑心と悪バラバラになっていく皆の心。
The further the game progressed, the further their hearts were overtaken by doubt and malice, deepening the gulfs between them.
誰も信じずこのゲームから逃げようとした者は非業の死を遂げた。
Consumed by suspicion, one who attempted to escape the game died an unnatural death.
そこから惨劇は加速する。やがて仲間を裏切る者も現れ愛し合う者同士さえも互いに銃を向き合った。
A series of tragedies soon followed. Traitors soon emerged from groups of comrades, and even lovers turned their guns against each other.
そして結末は ちは回避することができるのか。
This result is what you see before you. Can you find in yourselves to avoid this tragedy?
他者を信じ愛することのできる者だけが生き残るゲーム。その幕が再び開かれる。
Only those who can trust and love others can survive this game. And thus, the curtain rises once more.
シークレットゲームアブソリュートリベンジ。
Secret game. Absolute revenge.
あなたはそこで人間の真実の姿を
There,
渡り
sorry. There, you'll see the true faces of people. And with those last words, the images vanished. It didn't take long for the lights to come back on. Shuhei's heart trembled with terror. It seemed the administrators really were serious about trying to show people dying. Those revolting images had said it all. Everyone was probably thinking the same things as Shuhei. They all just stood completely still, choked by the deafening silence. But Hatsune's voice soon broke that silence. No! I don't want any of this! Everyone twitched at her voice. Kotomi looked over to Shuhei with pleading eyes. Shu, I'm scared. The terror in Shuhei's heart took deeper hold. But he dared not let that show. Not to Kotomi. It's alright, Kotomi. Shuhei resisted the urge to look away from the bodies, and instead took that sight head on. On closer look, he realized the holes in the corpses were gunshot wounds, meaning there was almost certainly guns planted all around the playing field. Escape was likely impossible. Some of the corpses' heads had been blown clean off. Any attempt to flee the playing field would result in a collar detonation. "14 poor souls were trapped in a cage of malice. Shuhei and Kotomi had been thrown right in the middle of it. But Shuhei gently held Kotomi's hand. Don't be afraid, Kotomi. If you and I work together, we'll make it out of this alive for sure." Though Shuhei had no evidence for that, he had to believe it. No matter what kind of people the other players were. No matter what kind of dangerous monsters were lying in their midst. He would protect Kotomi, no matter the cost. Shuhei swore to that oath as she watched her tremble. Okay, so I'm going to end it here for now. So, yeah. Sorry for the trouble getting it started, and I know there was a few interruptions in the way, but, yeah, we've gone through the rules, and we met about half the cast so far, so, as you can see, there are both similarities and differences to this game so far to how the others being held, and we'll have to see how the whole thing unfolds from this point on. So, yeah, I'm hoping you're enjoying this. This is mostly getting all the exposition out of the way as per usual. So, things should be heating up in future episodes. So, until next time, I'll see you all later.